Happy election day. Hope you went out and voted. I did that already. Happy election day. I already did that like almost 2 weeks ago now. So praying that you make decisions today. That's all I pray for. So look, I'm in my car, right? I have a little thing I have to go to in a few minutes. And so I have been getting a lot of strange, somewhat questions. I'm not going to call it questions. I'm just going to call it inquiries regarding my last live that I just did, like Sunday, I think it was, Saturday or Sunday. You can just scroll down and look at my last Insta Live, and you will see where I was talking about why I believe black people should not buy homes in 2020, and it has nothing to do with politics at all. So for those of you who are like, oh, well, it's politics, I'm like, no, Carol is not talking about politics at all. I'm not even close to talking about politics. This has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with building net worth. And what I'm seeing, and I'm having the ability to see right now in the market, this has nothing to do with politics. I'm going to say this one more time. This has nothing to do with politics. I'm not doing red. I'm not doing blue. I'm doing net worth. Okay, so I want to give you an example. If you have watched my last video where I talked about why black people should not buy homes in 2020, especially since if you watched it, you would see that I wasn't talking about politics. I today have a great example for you of why black people should not buy homes in 2020. So here it goes. There's a member of my family. I'm going to go back to 2008 for just a second. I decided to leave New York City around 2008. That was when I made the decision. I don't think my body made the decision until whenever the recession was, like in the midst of the recession. Talk about bad timing, right? So when I left New York City, it was at a point where I saw the writing on the wall. I wanted more out of my life. I wanted more for my money. I wanted my money to stretch a lot further. I already knew I had a business. It was doing fairly well. I just wanted to be able to have that business and let it allow me to live off that business. And in New York City, yeah, you can make a lot of money, but you can't necessarily live on a lot of money. It's a lot different than you think it is. And so when I decided to move down, I have some relatives that decided right before I left New York that they were going to move down as well. I decided initially that I was going to rent and then buy a condo because I'm not into big house living. That's still not my thing. I'm not into the big house thing. I don't like lawn, and I tried that. That thing ain't for me. I don't like planting, and I don't like people walking on my lawn and dog pooping on my lawn, and it ain't for me. So I decided I was going to go into a condo, and it was a nice little condo. So I bought the condo. It was only 2 bedrooms at the time. My son was fairly small. He was no more than a year or two old at that time. And this relative of mine went ahead and bought a 4-bedroom house. And at that time, I didn't understand what I understand now. So please forgive me. I'm speaking of what happened at that time. So my relative went out and bought a 4-bedroom house, 2-bath, basic build, nice square footage house, new construction. Went in it and, start the bragging. Oh my God, I bought this house. That was 2008, right? 2008, 2009, thereabouts. So they went into this house. The only thing they did in it, they painted, they painted that house. But that's about all I remember. I've been to the house a million times, but I don't remember them doing anything else since then. So now it's 2020. Let's fast forward. Why I say black people shouldn't buy homes, single family homes. Like I said, you got to watch the last video to understand where I'm going with this. So they bought this house, and now it's 2020. And the husband gets a job offer in another state, not far away, but it's only 4 hours away. And he wants to take this job offer significantly more than what he's making right now. He's getting to a certain age that he feels like this would be the best way for him to kind of make that transition into retirement and be able to have some type of, his 401k being stable and the whole 9 yards. And I think it's a good move. Honestly, I do, because he's been with this company for a very long time. She's a housewife. She hasn't worked. But because of the fact that they have bought in a low equity neighborhood, in a low equity community, what has happened is now that he has gotten this offer, and he has until, I think, February or March to be able to take up on this offer, they want to sell the house. They bought this house for $180 some odd thousand. Let's round it up at $180,000 in 2008 or 2009, somewhere around there. They haven't done anything to it because they couldn't afford to do anything to it. Every dime that they make has gone into this one liability. So they go every month and they just pay their mortgage payment and they're living in it. And essentially they're cooking in it, they're living in it, da 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 da. They have not upgraded the thing. They haven't upgraded the countertops. They haven't upgraded the lighting and everything else. Now, over the last 10 years, what I did not know about this house is that they've been having problems. They had a roof problem that I knew about. They had an HVAC problem that I knew about. And then they apparently have a new plumbing problem that is in their master bedroom. Their appliances are not working. So the only thing that is working is the new refrigerator they just bought. And it's a white refrigerator. Although I kind of like white appliances. I hear y'all on the stainless steel. But there's something about the new sleek white stainless steel. You got to see it. It's kind of cool. It's just my thing. Anyway, so they haven't bought a refrigerator. They haven't upgraded that. The dishwasher is not working. The trash disposal is not working. The upgrades to the bathroom as far as the countertops and the tub surround, they have not done all of those things. So it's called build a grade, really. It's really what it's called. The name of this word is called build a grade. For those of us who are in real estate, we know what build a grade means. It means when the builder made it, they made it to a certain level to meet the economic standard of what they were going to sell as far as a product. It's a prefab product. They put it down and then you, buyer, are supposed to go in and at times make some level of upgrades. Well, they never had the money. So it's 10 years later, he gets this promotion. And so he says, you know what, babe, let's tap into the equity. Let's get a home equity line of credit and let's do some upgrades because they haven't done the carpet. They haven't done anything else. Let's do it. So a few days ago, they called me because I'm the real estate expert, quote unquote, LOL, but I'm not a realtor. I always tell them I'm an investor, so I don't really know how this works. They had an appraisal done to get a way to get this HELOC, and the appraiser said that the house is valued at $180,000. You see why black people shouldn't buy single-family homes? So they bought in a black community. It has no equity, and they cannot afford the money to take out now to be able to buy the things that they're going to need to upgrade the house to be able to sell it for market value, because they looked on Zillow, and Zillow says these houses are worth $210. Yes, they are. But it's $210 if you've done some upgrades. So the wife and I were talking this morning and she was all upset. She's in a fury about this whole thing. And she's like, well, the people next door are getting $1,800 a month from the rental income. So I said, you know what? Let's make a schedule and I'll drive out there if need be. Let's take a look and see what the inside of that house looks like. It just so happens that I happened to find the rental listing. It's been fully updated because that family doesn't look like this family. What I'm saying to you is this. What I said in my previous video, if you did not like the content, I get it. If you want to DM me all day, you got more time than I do. My issue is that black people should not buy single family homes because we don't have the net worth to buy the homes that have the most amount of equity. So for you to be able to sit into a house that you've sat in for almost 11 years, and you have a chance of a lifetime for your husband to score a 6-figure salary, but you don't even have the 5 figures that it's going to take for you to upgrade this house so you can be able to sell it at market value, it already appraised for the exact amount of money you paid for it. So you're living in a liability. So you're not really doing anything. This is why I said the issue is now for us to be able to build net worth, it means that we have to accumulate numerous parcels of rental real estate before we buy a home. Because if your net worth was higher, you'd be able to afford more house that was in an equitable, or I'd like to say an appreciative community. So now the disappointing part is this is going to have a rebound effect because maybe he'll have to go out and rent an apartment or something. I just don't know what they're going to do. That's their business. As a couple, they'll have to figure that out. But as far as my business is concerned, when I see black people buying single family homes, especially in 2020, as the housing market is booming, it's just not booming in areas. And for those of you who really don't really get where I'm going with that, for those of you who are in major cities, I'm not even talking to you. You don't really understand this. If you're in a major city, you're in New York, LA, Boston, San Francisco, this may not necessarily apply to you because you will always get appreciation. But for people in certain parts of Pennsylvania and certain parts of rural Kentucky and Alabama and things like that, there is a certain amount of equity you just don't get from the homes that you buy. So if you can't get the equity, wait a little while, get rental real estate. Get as much rental real estate as you can. You hold on, you rent the place you live in, chill out. I understand you want a house. I get it. But when I said to this particular couple, why don't y'all just rent? They came up with the same line I hear over and over again. I don't want to waste money on rent when I can own. But to think 10 years later, what you own is not even worth the same amount you would have paid in rent because you have no equity. And why you have no equity is because you bought the first house you could afford, not the house that is going to give you the best amount of equity. So here's my thing. So I can get off my soapbox while I'm preaching. I want more of us to buy rental real estate and increase our net worth before buying a single family home. You will learn that the okie doke is in the equity. All these HGTV shows that they keep showing you about flipping this and flipping that and flipping this are not in black neighborhoods. And if they are, they're in gentrifying neighborhoods. That's a totally different conversation for a totally different day. We are giving away our net worth by buying the house that we could afford because we're trying to impress people who are not coming over, honey. They're not coming to your house. They're not chilling out with you. So you took a picture in front of your mega mansion, but if it's in the wrong neighborhood, it has no equity. And this particular family member showed me the exact same thing. Everybody, all of us from New York, we all came down here and we went and stayed at the house and this. And yes, I have 4 bedrooms and I have 5 bedrooms and I have 3 bathrooms. That's cool. But you have no equity. So now the dishwasher is still broken. It's 10 years later. The roof's still leaking. It's 10 years later. The HVAC's still leaking. It's 10 years later. You have no credit. The refi guy already told you, we did the appraisal. It's 180. So you might as well have paid rent, right? But if you had 5 or 6 pieces of real estate as far as rental income, you would have had the net worth to be able to buy what already would have had equity. And that's where we're missing the mark on this. And we're looking at the politics and we're saying that it's a Trump or a Biden. All you pay attention to all of that. That's cool. But that's not going to affect your pocket, no matter which vote you put in. I'm not trying to dissuade you from voting. Not at all, because I voted. But what I'm trying to say is in order for you to encapsulate this moment, encapsulate this amount of equity that's on the table, for you to participate in our wealth building, you got to stop looking at the single family house as the rite of passage to get to the next level, because it's not taking you there. You're buying a house that's in a non-equitable community that doesn't appreciate, and if you don't have the reserves to make sure that all of these things are fixed up, you will go what we call house poor. And so now the problem becomes we're being paid less than everybody else at work. So you cannot get the house of your dreams. But if you built your equity up by making sure that you had rental real estate, these problems won't happen. It's just a little bit more time you got to put on the table. Baby boo, I understand it's hard. I get it. I'm human. I'm impatient just like everyone else. Right now I have something on the table that I really want. I really, really want. It's a thing that I want. But what I need is more real estate. What I want is right here, and I can afford it. But what I need is more real estate. What I want is a liability. What I need is more real estate. That's an asset. Because all of that has given me the ability to not have to really focus on the liability of itself. I've never lived in a house that wasn't fully paid off on its own. Sorry, my phone is all off the hook. But I've never lived in a house where I've had to really take that kind of position where I've had to just take what I can get. My issue is I want us to be wealthy. Forget rich. I'm sick of rich. I know a lot of rich people. I want us to be wealthy. But in order for us to build wealth, we got to build net worth. To build net worth, you really got to be concentrating on what are the things that you got to hold to build net worth. The house you live in, if it is not in an equitable community, is a liability. And a lot of us buy liabilities. I know this is hard. I'll teach a lesson on that pretty soon. I just don't know when, But I go teach something about it because really and truly, this is going to be a profound year. This is going to be a make it or break it year. Not just because of politics, but because of a lot of things. I'm sorry, I'm watching this woman that she's going to turn in front of like a moving truck. He is coming at full speed, but it is what it is. She good. This is going to be a profound year. A lot of us are talking a good thing and y'all listening to all the YouTube videos and you've been reading all the books, and that's wonderful. But many of you already have the resources it's going to take for you to get your first piece of rental real estate. You have it. You're thinking too hard about it. You're overthinking, and you have analysis paralysis around the simplest things. You look for a house, you got some tenants, you put the tenants in and call it a day. For those of you who have been sending me, well, they're not renting in 30 million America, you're talking crap. Those are major cities that have nothing to do with you. People are renting. And as a matter of fact, people are going to rent now more than ever, because at the end of this, when the housing boom actually collapses, you've got to be there to help them through this. And what better person to do it than you? What better person? People are going to need a place to live. Homelessness is not a good look. People are going to need a place to live. Why can't it be you that's doing that? Why can't you tap into the programs that are out there? There are so many programs far beyond Section 8 that help you to be able to get tenants, far beyond Section 8, especially if you are in the South. There's a ton of programs. I used to rent out homes to people who had AIDS. I used to rent out homes to single mothers who were victims of domestic violence. We used to get checks for that. That had nothing to do with the parents. It had something to do with the system being able to help people who were in distress. There are Catholic charities. There's something called the crisis ministries. There's a million ways to get rent. And you're sitting back and just trying to buy a house? Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2020. Wake up. I'm on my soapbox. Once again. And I don't know if I'm going to get off of this one, because I really want more people that look like me to be in a different position. I really do. I really do. I don't know where this fire in me is coming from, but it's coming from a very genuine place. I really just want to see more people that look like me own more assets and less liabilities. It's great to have a nice car. That's a liability. It's great to own your own home, and it's a liability. But it's hard when I don't see net worth behind that liability. And again, I'm going to say this so I can get ready to go, because it's getting hot and this car is hot down here. Always remember, for those of you who are working for a house that you're trying to just keep, your single family house, if you're furloughed, if this election either goes east or west, north or south, red or blue, whatever it is, if you're furloughed or laid off, how are you going to pay for that liability that you're in? Can't refinance it. Can't get a HELOC on it. If you destroy your credit by missing one actual payment, you'll be screwed from getting anything anyway. So why don't you get residential, I shouldn't say residential, but multifamily real estate? Some of you have the money right now, but you're so concerned about holding on and saving and bragging about what you're saving, and you're not making your money work for you. When you make your money, you should make your money work for you. Your money is supposed to be your employee at that point. That money is supposed to work for you. Many of you just make money so you can take screenshots of your bank account to be able to show people on Instagram, and you're not making the money work for you. I would rather be broke knowing my money is out here working for me. I'd rather be broke. I'd rather be eating ramen noodles, but that won't happen. Like Trini, I can't. I had to make a low mean out of that. Trini people just need to, yeah. But I'd rather even think that I could eat ramen noodles than to have money in the bank that is not working for me. I would rather know, if push comes to shove, I can sell a house and say, you know what, I know where I can get a quick little 30 grand and do whatever I got to do, than to be able to hold on to my money and brag that my 401k is doing well and I got $40,000 in the bank. Don't be cheap. You've worked hard for this money. You've worked hard for it. And many of you are giving it away behind a liability to show other people stuff that they're not even paying attention to. You think I watch people screenshots of money that they save? That is nothing noble about saving and not ensuring that the next generation is better off than you are. That's crazy. I would rather be broke than to be able to say my son can't inherit anything that I have worked for because I was busy saving. That is the mindset we've been taught. I grew up with that mindset. My grandmother always said, "Yo, well, you're saving your money, yeah? You're saving, eh? Don't spend nothing." The other day, I was at Whole Foods and I racked up a bill, and somebody that was with me was in my family. They were like, you buying that? You should save that money. Well, here's the thing. I'd rather spend it now than to have to take Lipitor in 10 years. I'm good. I'd rather buy low-fat meat, whatever it is, grass-fed, organic now, than to be struggling at 60 and 70 years old to be able to say, well, I ain't got no money for Lipitor, just so I can stay alive. because my income is going to change by then. My best days are right now. My best days are not when I get old and I can't afford to get the medicine. Look, I watched my father die of trying to my father held every dime in his pocket, never let go. My father had a ton of money in the bank, and I'm like, wait a minute, that man was drinking Kool-Aid and he had money in the bank. Why? Because my father cheap. My father buy this old car and he drive it in and just putting money into the old car. And when he died, he couldn't take it with him. We couldn't put the car in the casket. We had to get the car and give it to somebody. You can't take it with you. But if he had invested it, I think about if my father had invested it and not died with his dreams, we would have known so much more about him. A lot of people at my father's funeral talked about what he could have been. They didn't talk about what he was. And that's how we dream. We dream with our savings account. How much did we save? How much did you invest? All right. I have to go, because I just said that ramen noodle thing and it really distilled my brain, and I shouldn't have said it because I don't eat ramen noodle under no circumstances. But let me say this again. People of color, people that look like me, people who sound like me, people who think like me, well, whatever you think. Make this the year that you stop saying you should buy your own. Okay, they're going to hit each other. Yep, there's a little accident in this little intersection that's ready to happen. I'm not going to be a part of it, but I'm going to look. You really have to stop focusing on single family homes. That is the dream that has been sold to us, but it is not the dream that we can afford. And in order for us to afford it, we got to build net worth. How you build net worth if you're still going to a job? I'm not criticizing the job. I'm not one of those hustlepreneurs that's going to tell you, quit your job and hustle. No, I'm not going to tell you that, because not everybody's meant to do what I do. Some of y'all are just not, you don't have the thing for that. And there's a thing that comes with entrepreneurship that everybody does not have. And I'll be honest with you, it takes a lot of 24-hour days for this to happen. And I get it. Not everybody has that. And I commend you for going to work, because I used to do it. But that's not my life. But if I had a job at this particular point in my life, I would still be building net worth on top of it. And the reason I think this is so important and is so key right now is because the prices are on sale. I'm going to say this, and I got to go because it is hot. I got to open up the window. You're not going to get these kind of prices again. I made my best money in 2008, 2009 when it was on sale before. It's on sale now. Why am I dressed in sweats? Because I'm about to go get me another bag of some money, because it's time. I'm re-ing up on tenants. That's right. That's right, Mr. Vinny. I'm loving my tenants. I don't have a problem with them. They don't have a problem with me. They don't know me. You think my tenants know who I am? They've never seen me before. It's a long story. We'll talk another day about that. But I love the fact that this is building net worth. My son can inherit this. My grandchildren that haven't been born can inherit this. My great-grandchildren can inherit this. I'm loving them so much already, and I haven't even met them yet. That's how we have to think. Many of us just think about ourselves. We think about our needs, and we miss this mark. And you're going to work, and you could supplement your income. Nobody's asking you to drive Uber or Uber Eats at night. I'm asking you to use everything you can to build net worth in this economy, and stop the BS about what you're trying to save and what you can't do and who's holding you back. Can I tell you the biggest enemy holding you back is you? It's cut the them out now, because now this is your fault, right? You have money in the bank. You have a little credit. Cut the BS out now. This is all about you. I'm gonna hold you to your own soapbox. This is your fault now. It's over. The time of complaining is over. It is time for you to step your game up. Go buy some residential real estate, get you some tenants, get a few of those, build your net worth up, supplement your income, and buy the house that is going to have equity, not the house you can afford. Stop buying a $100,000 and $200,000 house and bragging that my rent payment was higher than my mortgage payment, but your equity is zero. That's dumb. That's dumb. Oh yeah, I'm paying less in my mortgage than I was for my rent, but you ain't got no equity. So you're really not really making any money anyway. This house didn't go up in any value. And if I learned something from this experience with this particular relative who was sitting at home crying today, wanting to know, why is my house worth the same amount as when I bought it? Because you rushed down here. You thought to yourself, the first thing I can get below 200, I'm going to get. It was in a neighborhood that wasn't on the up and up. You were just happy to have it. It was build a grade. You've never improved it. And when the appraiser walked through it, he said, hey, this is the same price it is. And I see this over and over and over. And that is the prime seed how gentrification begins. They anticipate that you're not going to actually do any rehab to the home. They anticipate that you're not going to put a bigger countertop or do something with that laminate. They know that because they know you don't even have the money for it. So they anticipate that they can come back in 10, 15 years and give you the same amount. You know how many people of color I have had to go to closings with that had to have money to bring to closing? That's embarrassing. And I'm in shame. Sometimes I put my head down and act like this is not happening. I'm like, they had to bring money to closing to get rid of it? Do you know how many times I've done that? Just hurt my heart to see us having to borrow money to come to closing to get rid of it because you got to stop the bleeding that is called draining the swamp. I got to go because I'm getting hot and I got things to do. I love you all for life, but I want you to build net worth. Don't just buy a house. I'll see you all soon.